4 years ago down in Germany. Okay. Enjoy yourself and have fun. We'll be out here for what?
Hello. When we spoke earlier, I forgot to ask you whether you have a theory about how the present crisis ends. You know, the present emergency in Gaza with the hostages.
Listen. It's very simple. The solution is simple. In order to be able to figure out or imagine how the solution is supposed to look like, first we need to really diagnose what is the problem. People follow Zionist propaganda and they think and believe that it's just because of a difference of religion, therefore we have to fight. And since, if that's the reason, then there is no solution. And if there is no solution, then the only solution is just continuing the cycle of violence, which unfortunately is driving everyone into this bloody conflict, which is not getting us anyplace. But this is not the case. The difference of religion is not the reason for conflict. We lived in Palestine prior to the 1920s, before the invention of Zionism, despite any differences of religions, a very small minority of Jews were respected and protected by the vast majority of Muslims. And we didn't have a problem. Neither did the Muslims have a problem with the Jews. It is the movement of Zionism which has destroyed this peace originally, and is the continuous crimes which is fueling this endless river of bloodshed where everyone suffers. Not only Palestinian people are being murdered and killed, little babies are starved to death, but Jewish people are facing the consequences of what's being done in our name. The solution is quite simple. If they listen, if they truly want to have peace, if they really want to stop violence, and if they truly want to protect the people they claim to represent, then they need to stop these crimes altogether. They need to stop this occupation entirely. That's the only way for peace, and it's simple. Let me tell you this very short story. I visited Gaza, 2009. This was after the beginning of the siege. Situation was terrible, and we questioned whether it's going to be safe for us to go, because after all that happened, after all, the Gazan people are the most affected even in 2009 from this conflict. We ended up going. We were there for restrictions from the Egyptian government only for 24 hours. Not even once. Not even one bad word by one person to us. And we were visibly Jewish as we are right now. This is encouraging to see how close we are to peace. They truly understood who we are, that we don't represent these crimes and we are against it. And nobody had a problem. Neither, politicians or ordinary people, on the people suffering. And they didn't have a problem with the Jewish people.
Okay.
This is exactly what we see all the time.
That's the solution, you see, but how realistic do you think an adoption of the solution is?
I don't know how to answer this because, I don't think it's that complicated. It's just a matter of choice. It's only a matter of choice. If people will decide that we want to do the right thing, then just let's go ahead and do it. We don't have to relocate all Jewish people. Palestine does not demand, even Hamas doesn't demand that people should leave the land. Just stop the occupation, stop the oppression. Let's live in peace. Let's restore all rights to all oppressed people. That's all what's demanded. Let's continue living as we lived before. Well, maybe some generals, Benjamin Netanyahu will have to leave, and some others.
Am I wrong in thinking that Hamas wants to destroy Israel?
In any case, they don't want to destroy Jewish people, not at all.
They've been willing to give up power too, right?
Who is that?
Hamas, they were willing to give up power and peace agreements. They said, we will
Listen. In any case, what I can say for certain, I met so many Hamas people, so many people from other groups. None of them have any demand or any desire of murdering Jews or oppressing Jews. That's pure Zionist propaganda. People in the West truly believe that all what happened on October 7th, even though all of us here are troubled and traumatized by what happened October 7th, but the question is why. I always ask people, just tell me what the cause was. I just want to know what's behind it. Now, people following Zionist propaganda, and I'm talking about smart people, they truly believe what happened is just because we are Jews. And people will admit that wrongs were done for Palestine. But again, still what happened on October 7th is just because we are Jews. This doesn't make any sense. Now again, none of us are happy when we see the reactions. But we should understand that there are actions behind it. As Secretary General of the United Nations said after October 7th, what happened didn't happen out of a vacuum. It happened as a result of decades of occupation. Now again, nobody is happy when we see the reactions. And I don't believe that Palestine enjoys these reactions. They would love to be in a case where there is no reactions and there is no actions to begin with. Let's live in peace. Nobody wants to be killed or kill others. This is fabricated propaganda, which is so misleading to the point where it becomes dangerous, where everybody is being dragged into this endless cycle of bloodshed, and everybody believes that we must continue the bloodshed Otherwise, we'll be in danger. But what happens end of the day? Nobody's more safe.
What does your heart tell you is going to happen in a year? What the situation will be in a year?
Listen.
Do you have a feeling, an optimism or a pessimism?
Listen, I say that what happened in October 7th, sadly, was predicted by every right-minded person. Again, not because I enjoy it. On the contrary, because I'm traumatized. But right-minded people were traumatized before it happened. The same today. I am much more traumatized by what, God forbid, can happen since October 7th. And again, I don't want to see it happen on either side.
So what's your solution?
That's why I'm out here. I'm out here to raise the awareness. I speak to President Trump, and I urge you, I urge ordinary people on the street, I urge politicians, let's do it right. Let's encourage people to take the right steps, not only for the sake of the Palestinian people, who I believe, as a Jew, I believe that they deserve a better future, but for the sake of the Jewish people or anyone involved. We need a better future. We need to stop all of this. Stop with this nationalism, which is not bringing anyone any place. And it happens to be, we as religious Jewish people say that this whole nationalism concept altogether for Jewish people happens to be in total contrast to very basics of Judaism. This is a long conversation. And in addition to this, killing and stealing is a violation of our religion. This is a rebellion against God. The verse says in Leviticus twice, I'm confusing. There's a verse saying in Numbers, why are you violating the word of Almighty God? It will not be successful. No wonder, after so many decades, so many attempts to peace processes, nothing is getting any place. This is a rebellion against God. This is a continuation. Regardless which plan was taken so far, is a continuation of the oppression of some people. And it will not work. We are happy when some rights are being restored to some people. It's very good when we take these steps. But what happens with the rest? It's not justice, and it's not going to help. It's not going to cure. It's not going to solve. We need to address it in its entirety. I can only encourage, and now I'm talking to the Jewish people. I encourage Jewish people. Stop it. Give it up. Cease and desist. Enough. Let's get back to olden days where we were living in other countries. We didn't have a state of our own. It was way better than now. Some places there were pogroms. Nazi Germany was terrible for the Jewish people, but in the same time there were other parts of the world which was better. And this is our history, and this is in our tradition. Jewish exile is going on already for 2,000 years. This is part of our religion. We are required to accept this.
Why is it that Jews are in almost all the countries where they've lived for hundreds and hundreds of years, multiple generations, are constantly regarded as
according to Judaism,
outsiders?
according to Judaism, this is a part of our religion. Jewish exile is a divine decree. This is God's will, and we are required to accept it, whether it is comfortable or it isn't. And we did accept this for 2,000 years. Coming back to the previous point, in our tradition it says, many times it's mentioned, while we had problems in some countries, we had salvation in other countries. This is how it works. This is Jewish history. It might be strange for others, but in our tradition, this is how it's supposed to be. Now, Zionism came with a new approach. We're no longer going to accept that. We're going to fight God. We no longer follow God. This is what Zionism taught. This is an embarrassment to our people. This is a desecration of our religion. Originally, they didn't even intend to use religion into their movement. It was a purely secular movement. And what I say always is, if you want to do wrong, I discourage you. But if you insist, that's your choice. Don't call it the Jewish people. Don't call it the Jewish religion. Don't call it the Jewish Judaism. This is something new. When you steal the identity, you just add a crime to it. This is not Judaism. And after all these decades, originally people believed this brilliant idea of Zionism. This is going to save the Jewish people. the vast majority or almost the entire Jewish leadership, religious Jewish leadership at the time opposed it vehemently. But at that time, you had to believe those wise scholars that this is not going to work and this is a violation of God's will. But today, we see it. It doesn't work, and it will not work. My name is Rabbi David Feldman. I'm with Neture Karta International. Try to look up my name or go to my website, n.kusa.org.
Do you have a synagogue? Are you associated with a specific synagogue?
I'm leading a synagogue in upstate New York, which is not very large. It's a smaller synagogue, and I'm affiliated with many other communities.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It goes against what our country is funding. Block the barricade until Palestine is free. Block the barricade until Palestine is free. When I was 7, I learned a lesson from Cuban Easy E. What was it again? Oh yeah.
How's it going? Would you like to try and earn $100?
No,
Okay.
I'm not interested in money for this thing.
It's 100 shekels.
I do wonder though. Well, why do you think people say Israel is apartheid?
Because they're stupid. Israel's not an apartheid. An apartheid is a form of racial segregation, first founded in South Africa. In South Africa, the country, 80% of it was black, and the white population took all the black people and put them in Bantustans and eliminated their citizenship. They took their citizenship away. In Israel, if you look at the current demographic makeup of their citizenry, the people who are citizens of Israel, 21% of the population are Arabs. Arabs serve in the government. There's currently an Arab sitting on the Supreme Court, Khalid Kebab, which is the most powerful institution of all of Israel. There are roughly a dozen members of the Knesset, which is their Congress, that are Arabs. There are Druzis. They have equal citizenship. Arabs can buy land. They can live wherever they want. They can rent houses. They can vote in elections. They can do whatever they want, wherever they want, whenever they want, as long as it doesn't violate the law. And the laws for Jewish and Arab citizens are the same in Israel. So it's not an apartheid state by definition.
And
There's no law, right, that systemically oppresses or discriminates people based off their religion, who they are, right? So in South Africa, for example, like he said, when apartheid was a legitimate part of the system, there's actual policies that discriminate people based off their their race.
And that system was called apartheid. It's a adaptation of an Afrikaans word, right? That means separateness or apartness. That's what apartheid comes from, right? So that's what they called it. The white people called it apartheid. So if you're going to call something else apartheid, it's going to have to pretty closely resemble what happened in South Africa, and Israel resembles
That means 2 million Arabs that live in Israel are fully discriminated against based off just of their ethnicity. So
what are they complaining about then?
Are they complaining?
They're complaining because they want everything from the river to the sea. That's what it says. The PA wants. It's what Hamas wants. And it's what anybody who's involved in the Palestinian national movement wants. They want everything from the river to the sea. They believe it belongs, all of it belongs to them.
But the majority of Arabs, I can't speak for all 2 million, but the majority of Arabs, if you just ask them in the streets of Israel, do you like to live in Israel? Do you enjoy living in Israel? They say yes. And you ask them, do you want to move to a Muslim majority country? And they say no.
We actually tested this. We were just, actually David couldn't make it, but I was in Israel just a couple of weeks ago, and I went to the Muslim quarter of the old city of Jerusalem, and I specifically asked Arabs, or people even who identified as Palestinian, do you like living here in Jerusalem? And they said, yes, I love living here in Jerusalem. And I said, even though you live under the Israeli government? And they said, yes, this is my country. I've lived here since I was born. And I said, is there any apartheid? They said, no, there's no apartheid here. And I said, would you rather live anywhere else? Like if you could go live in Iran or Afghanistan or Iraq or some other Muslim majority country that has laws that benefit Muslims specifically, would you rather go live there? No, nowhere else. I would never rather live anywhere else other than right here in Israel.
And you know why? They enjoy the same exact rights that Jewish people have in Israel, that non-Jewish people have in Israel, because guess what? In Israel, there's no apartheid system that discriminates people based off who they are. It's that simple. It's just like in America.
And that does not mean that Arabs living in Israel might have gripes with their government. Everyone has gripes with their government. Lots of you guys standing around here probably aren't Trump supporters. Right? He's sitting in the White House right now. You probably have gripes with that. Doesn't mean you're oppressed in this country. It just means you probably have some gripes here or there with your government. I have lots of gripes with the government, but I still love this country.
And the Arabs in Israel, what they love the most is that they can actually have their voices heard in this country. Go to a different country like Iran. Good luck saying something against the regime over there. So again, they enjoy full rights that they can't enjoy in Muslim predominant countries.
Yeah, we drove by Bibi's house when we were in Israel, and Bibi's house is plastered in protest signs, and there are protesters outside of his house 24/7.
The walls outside.
The walls outside of his house, yes, the walls outside of his house, and there are always protesters out there. It's actually the entire street outside of his house plastered in protest signs.
Good luck doing that to the mullahs in Iran.
If that happened in Iran, they'd all be dead.
I think you can't equivocate like Arab states with Islam, the religion. Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm not, but I think that when political Islam takes root, it results in people getting oppressed. Regardless of the situation. Right? Look at any Arab country in the world, essentially except Egypt and Jordan right now. Like, for example, look at Iran, Yemen, Sudan, Afghanistan. Most of these countries, spousal rape is legal, means you can rape your wife, and also child rape is legal. Spousal rape plus child rape equals raping children, which is fully legal in those countries. Sudan is the only one other than Jordan and Egypt that I can find that actually has a legal age of marriage, and it's 10 years old.
Got it. I will say, like, my sister converted to Islam, and she doesn't believe any of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of that is like written in the law. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
it actually is. Islam is inherently a radical religion. Look at the Hadith, the book of Sahih Muslims, for example. Hamas cites it in their charter. The Day of Judgment will not come about until the Muslims fight the Jews, killing the Jews. When the Jews hide behind stones and trees, the stones and trees will say, "Oh Muslims, oh Abdullah, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him." That is the word of Muhammad. It is a first-degree Hadith, which means that Muslims have the highest confidence that Muhammad said it. Muhammad's words are the words of God, and therefore Muslims believe that their Day of Judgment, their final days, and the completion of their religion cannot occur until all Jews are killed.
The problem with that also is that Muhammad, you would ask any Arab or Muslim person who wrote the Quran, it wasn't Muhammad, this is the word of God. Countries are predominantly Muslim countries, and the rulers are Islamic fundamentalists. Of course, they're going to interpret the Quran exactly how they believe it is, because it's the word of God. If they believe that honor killings are part of the legal system, they do so. Stoning is part of the legal system.
Right. I would say that the nation of Israel is also like a certain interpretation of Judaism that I'm sure these guys wouldn't agree with.
The foundings of Israel, actually, they don't like Israel because Israel was founded as a secular project, not a religious one. They're religious Jews. They want Israel to be religious. And that's why they think the current state of Israel is illegitimate. They won't tell you that, but that's why they're here. They're ultra-Orthodox religious Jews.
Literally be based on Jewish law. That means there would not be any freedom for religion or whatsoever.
It doesn't sound like they're down for that. It sounds like they're
It is
like.
exactly what they want.
They're
It
manipulating
doesn't sound like
you.
they want a state at all. Actually.
So they do. They want the current state of Israel gone. Do you guys want a state of Israel eventually? Judaism can't be completed
You know
until
what they
Israel
want
exists.
when the Messiah comes? They need to cleanse the tools, the ability to build the third.
I think my understanding is that,
Judaism can't be
they're
completed until
they're
Israel's
leaving that up to God. You know what I'm saying? Like
They're not
they're not involved in that.
God said, wait, hold up, but God's not just going to come down and create the state of Israel, right? Somebody has to do it for him. It's the Messiah. Their problem is that Israel, the modern state of Israel, was founded as a secular project, right? Theodor Herzl was a secular Jew. The problem is that Jews were being slaughtered in Europe, and then they would go, like Theodor Herzl went to the anti-Semite, listened to the anti-Semite party in the Hungarian Congress, and they shouted, "Jew, go back to Palestine." He said, maybe not a bad idea, right? That's where we're from. Why don't we go back there where we can't be oppressed, right? So the Jews were being slaughtered all across Europe, and they said, we're being slaughtered, and our men are hiding down, watching our women be raped. Why? Because we're pacifists, because we're religious Jews. Drop the religion, go back to Israel, claim our kingdom, and establish a state where we can't be oppressed. They believe that no matter how much they integrated into European society, they'd still be viewed as Jews, and that's evidently true with the Dreyfus affair. Dreyfus?
It's forbidden for them to step foot on Israeli land or the area that is biblically Israel for the simple fact that the current state of it is too secular for them. They can't, under the condition of the Torah, to step foot on that land until
I've never heard that before. That's interesting.
Well, tell us.
Well,
maybe explain to us.
Please go ahead.
Well, you interjected.
They should challenge you.
At what point?
Just go ahead.
What point can you
Speak
establish
for
the
us.
state of Israel?
Speak for us.
Well, why
Speak
don't
for
you
us.
tell us? That way I don't miscategorize it. At
Please
what
go
point
ahead.
can you
Go
establish the
ahead.
state of Israel?
I'm not going.
At what point can you establish the state
spent
of
time
Israel?
with you, not having an honest
I know.
conversation.
Sorry,
Just
the
go
funny
ahead.
thing about it is that
Just teach your propaganda. Please go ahead.
Doesn't want to answer that question. Why doesn't he want to explain to us at what point can they establish the state of Israel? Because their entire argument why they're out here using Palestine as their example is because it's their reason to try and destroy the modern state of Israel so they can come back and make it a non-secular state. Which is the funniest thing to me. So the leftists
that doesn't
support
sound
them.
like at all what he's saying though. Like he's been telling me that he's accepting that, like, hey, his people are like scattered about other nations, right? I didn't hear him once saying that he wants to establish like a non-secular state of Israel.
I want you to ask him. I want you to ask him, under what condition can they establish the state of Israel or any state in the biblical?
Because remember,
I think I can answer you. You would probably say like,
I'll
remember
speak
this:
to you later
Israel
on.
has to be established. In order for the Jewish religion to be completed, Israel has to be
right?
established.
God
The
said
Messiah
like,
has
I'm
to
gonna
come.
let you guys
Everyone-
come back here, right?
Exactly.
It's like I promise this land and like
Kingdoms
this
have
is
to be
the-
reunited.
Right. But like, it's not. They're not supposed to do anything about it.
They are.
They have to do something about it.
They need the
It's not
red
gonna happen on its
heifers.
own. God's not going to come down and do it on its own. You need the red heifers. You're going to rebuild the temple. That being just happened.
They did the red heifer. They did the red
Isn't
heifer
that
ceremony.
Christians though, with
No.
the rapture.
No.
Red
Okay.
heifer. The red heifer thing is a,
guys
it's a
want
ceremony
blood
in order
rituals.
to cleanse the tool
You
so
guys
they
want
would
blood
later use
rituals,
to,
like
to build a
fucking
third temple. And
regressive
only then they believe that
retards.
they have the right to step foot on Israel, but not
You
in
want
its
blood
current form.
rituals.
They
You
want
wanna
it to be
kill
a non-secular
stuff.
state.
To honor
It has to be
stuff.
believed
Those are
unto the
rituals.
Constitution.
Blood
Every
rituals.
law should be a Jewish
What
law.
regression?
Not the civil courts like they have in Israel or the
What
marriage courts.
aggressive
The marriage
ass
courts
way
are
of
ruled by Jewish
thinking.
law, which is the problem for
To
Israeli
commit
Arabs
more
there.
blood
But these
rituals.
people want it to be for everything. Every single institution is quite literally based on Jewish law. And that's the
Do
problem.
not commit more blood rituals.
They come here in order to manipulate public opinion into thinking that they are here to take down the Zionist state of Israel because look what they're doing to Gazans and everything. No, it's
Blood
BS.
rituals.
I know these people.
They're
We've
doing blood
exposed these
rituals.
people for being exactly. That's why he won't answer the question publicly for the 10th time. At what point can they establish the modern state of Israel? They want to establish it. They know that. But at what point? Is anybody going to answer that one or no? We're going to run away again. That's what I thought.
What is required for the Jews to return to Israel, guys? We know you believe it has to happen.
Kind of sounds like you guys are rage baiting.
No,
We're not
they interject at every single minute that they can, right? But the second that we ask the proper question, they go silent. Why?
Because they can't answer it. Because
Honestly,
it's all optics. It's all optics.
Like, you had a comment about like Islam and like what you said was like the final realization of Islam. Now I haven't read the Quran.
It's not in the Quran. I'm talking Muslims.
Okay. Well, what my sister believes is she's quoted to me a verse in Islam where it says like, hey, honest Christians, they're also considered to be right by God. You get what I'm saying? And honest Jews.
That's fine. Yeah.
Like
because,
it's
because
a shared
the difference
thing.
between the
There's
religions.
validity.
It's a
Like,
scoring system as opposed to
so,
Christianity.
like-
but what I would say is the best
Right.
Muslim is somebody who's not actually a Muslim, right? Muslims who don't actually practice Islam, because Muslims who actually practice Islam to the word of Muhammad will kill people for not agreeing with them. That's why Islam all throughout world history has spread by the sword. Sword to your neck, convert to Islam or I will kill you. That is why it's the most popular religion. No, the Christian Crusades were to stop the Muslims from taking over Europe.
The Jebusites, the Moabites,
The reality of it is the best question you can ask any Muslim. What do they do with
the
a person
Yokobites,
they consider me
and
to be
attempted to kill off the
So
Philistines.
what do they do with a person?
You're only talking about
They're
Islam. How about Yahudim?
Well, in a
Ah.
Okay.
They don't
know- they don't know all the history.
They
don't know all the history.
Not knowing your
know their
own
history.
Torah.
Their
Shame on
history.
you for not knowing your Torah. Anti-Yahudim. You're
They probably wouldn't admit that it's a stolen land.
You know nothing about your own Torah. Speak the truth
well.
according to the
That's
Torah.
add-on, right? So I just feel like
Animals.
I feel like we're equivocating like extremist portions.
It's not extremist. It's the words of Muhammad, the man who founded the religion.
Okay.
And they have the highest confidence that Muhammad said this first degree.
And they're very consistent about this. Why? Because Muhammad was illiterate. So how could he write it? How could he, you know?
He spoke poetry, right? And they kept it spoken word and then wrote it down.
But it doesn't even matter because none of this is related to whether or not Israel's an apartheid state. Israel does not discriminate against Muslims in any way, shape, or form.
The best
That's the
example
end
of
of
this, I used to live there.
Actually, there's affirmative action for Arabs in Israel where they actually get into college easier. And also, the Temple Mount, the single most holy site in all of Judaism. It's actually the only holy site in Judaism. Why do they pray on the wall?
The wall.
The Western Wall. Yeah. Not on the map where the temple used to be. It's like, why do they pray close? I don't know. Because the Mount is controlled by additional law. The Jews are not allowed in their own state, in the heart of their own state. Jews are not allowed in the religious site for the entire religion, the only religious site for the entire religion, because they have made concessions to Muslims so that there's not conflict. They make peace.
And in the very rare moment that Jews are actually allowed to go there, which is once a year or something like that, or you're not allowed to pray. And any single movement of their mouth will result in immediate jail in Israel. Not in Jordan, not in
Palestine or whatever you want to call it is Israel.
So, just so we have an understanding of that. I wanted to say this in terms of apartheid. I grew up in Israel. Every time I hear the claim that Israel's an apartheid state, right away I think about when I was 8 years old. There was an ambulance that was on the way to take the
The city of Jerusalem is the most racially and religiously diverse city in the entire world. Like, anywhere you go in the old city, you will see, even in the Jewish quarter, you'll see people walking around in hijab. Go to the Muslim quarter, you'll see Jews walking around. Christian quarter, you'll see Muslims, Christians, and Jews walking around everywhere. Like, there's a mosque in the Christian quarter. There's a church in the Jewish quarter. There is a Muslim, what's it called? Like, pastry shop in the Jewish quarter where they sell, it's like two sides. One side is kosher and one side is not. Right? Because they're selling to Jews. So like one side, Muslims will stop or Christians will stop and they'll get the non-kosher stuff, and the other side, the Jews stop and they get their kosher stuff. And so, like, it's cool. There's, people will tell you that like the old city is segregated because there's like Jewish, Muslim, Christian, and Armenian quarters, but they're not like, it's not racially segregated zones. Like those quarters predate the modern state of Israel by thousands of years. They've always been there. But the only way you know what's what is a traditionally Muslim house typically has a dome, and a traditionally Jewish house typically has a red roof. But that doesn't mean that a Jew lives in a red roof house or whatever. Somebody might have bought the house, whatever.
The coolest picture from Israel that I had from like 5 years ago was going through the Muslim quartile, and there was every religion.
You're mixing Hebrew and English.